the other third, Corwin Heller.
And that remaining sixth, that remaining 1/6 is our buddy Craig. So welcome to the stats episode of this podcast. So once again, the caveat: we were recording Sunday morning, October 25th at 10:30 in the a.m. So today's football games have not yet happened. World Series Game 5 has not yet happened. But we are coming off of a wild Game 4 that we will certainly be getting into. And we're going to talk a little bit about a topic that we usually talk about every season and have not thus far this year due to that Rona and other things taking precedent. So with that being said, Corwin, you want to start with a little bit of college football?
No, I think we should end with sadness. Let's start with happy.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're starting with Penn State.
Wait, what did I just say?
Well, you said let's start with happy.
Oh yeah, no, that's not happy.
I mean, I'm pretty okay with it.
I fucking hate you.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man. Let's start with baseball. Let's start with the Rays.
Actually, real quick, just because I always say we haven't seen the results of this week's football games yet, and then I feel like we never go back to like really quickly just blast through what happened last week. So maybe it might be worth real quick to just like take a hop, skip, and a jump back to week 6 to just talk to see if there's anything interesting. Lions beating the Jaguars. Do you care?
No.
Colts beating the Bengals. Do you care?
No.
Bears beating the Panthers.
I feel like that's one of those games where it was technically not an upset, but everyone was going with the Panthers because it was the fun pick, and the Bears are, despite being 5-1, or how are they 5-1? One of those teams. So technically not an upset, but at the same time, it's like, what?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's like, this is not a good team. They must lose eventually, and yet they keep on winning. And they've played good teams. A couple anyway, between the Colts and the Bucks. Their next game is against the Rams. The next 4 games heading into their bye week are Rams, Saints, Titans, and Vikings, and those teams all have the tendency to be good. Some have a tendency to be bad, but you'd think eventually they have to start losing because this 5-1 is ridiculous. Steelers beating the Browns. I know you care personally. Is there any story out of that game?
Yeah, I mean, just how good the Browns offense has been since they played the Ravens, and just how badly they were shut down by the Steelers. So I think that's a pretty big deal, but we'll see if they can hold up this week against the Titans, which, again, we haven't seen the game yet, so we'll see. But that's definitely a big storyline about, how complete and how dominant this Steelers team can be this year. When, honestly, a lot of the other top teams have been exposed.
Yeah. You're right. Ravens narrowly edging out the Eagles. Do you care?
Kinda. Not really.
Yeah. Titans beating the Texans in overtime in a shootout.
Yeah, this was a fun game.
Yeah. Also, though, it's like this is like a really cool game, but like at the same time, the end result being where the wins and losses go is what you'd expect. So it's like,
right.
Yeah. Giants beating Washington. We talked briefly about it. Both teams are bad. This was a toss-up, and a 1 point differential pretty much confirms that. Broncos beating the Patriots. I think we might have talked about this too.
Did we?
I don't remember. Do we care?
I don't think we did. We care a little bit just because it's fun when the Patriots lose, and not a whole lot of people expected this. And, well, not like this game in particular, more or less just this Patriots being this fairly bad, even with Cam Newton at quarterback. Was he back? Is he back from injury yet? Did he even play in this game?
This was his first game back.
Right. Okay. Just wanted to make sure before I talked about it. it's something you could see, but didn't really want to believe because it's still Bill Belichick, the Patriots. But yeah, this is not a very good team this year, and I'm really excited to see them kind of miss the playoffs. That'll be super exciting.
Oh, that'd be the best. I would love that. If I could be a brief Cam Newton apologist, though, he is coming off the Rona and had to play at Mile High Stadium, and that must have
Oh, yeah.
sucked.
Could not imagine that being a fun time.
Yeah, hey, you know that respiratory illness? Well, welcome to very thin air.
Exactly.
The Falcons beat the Vikings. Do you care? I feel like both these teams are.
Man, the
Hey, they
Vikings
used
are
to
in
be
a
good.
tough spot.
Yes.
Did we talk about the Yannick Ngakoue trade?
No. You and I talked about it, but we did not talk about it on the show.
Right. Do you want to talk about that now while we're on the Vikings, or save it for later?
No, we can talk about it now.
So, if you could pull up the trade details, because I kind of forget.
I'm doing
This
it
is
right now.
perfect. So you're ahead of me. Um, Man, this is tough for the Vikings because on one hand, he's on a 1-year deal, the last year of his deal, so you would need to re-sign him in the offseason. And with the way they have been playing, not it's not locked in where he'd want to come back. The team's not playing well. Definitely worse than expectations. They were trying to compete this year, and now they're at a point where, man, they are fighting for possible Trevor Lawrence territory if you really look at it. So it's really tough for them right now. I don't know if this is them trying to clear up some space for, getting rid of Kirk Cousins, clearing up some room to have that dead space fit in. But this could be a big deal with them trying to, clear it out. And I just, man,
Yeah.
things could get pretty ugly in Minnesota for a good while.
So the trade is to the Ravens goes Yannick Ngakoue
Hmm.
in exchange for Baltimore's 2021 third-round pick and a conditional 2022 fifth-round pick. This is after the Vikings had acquired Ngakoue from the Jaguars in exchange for a 2021 second-round pick and a conditional 2022 fifth-round pick. So they come out of this net having moved back one round of the draft.
Obviously, it's not a complete loss. It's not a terribly lopsided trade now, looking in hindsight, where, they gave up a first rounder for him and now had to sell him for pennies on the dollar. One round is obviously valuable, but at the same time, you're not gonna have your team fall apart because of this. Your team's not gonna be set back in any major way because of this. Um, but
No,
man, it's definitely tough to lose out on that kind of value, especially so quickly.
I think this is exactly, if I was a Vikings fan, though, this is what I would want the team to do. Like last year, you were 10-6, second in the NFC North, and you're thinking like, all right, like a couple more pieces, we could win the division. Like let's make that push before the end of Kirk Cousins' contract. So you go out there and you make a trade for a guy like Yannick Ngakoue, try to shore up the defense. You lost some defensive pieces, and then you start off the season 1-5. And it's like, all right, we need to start shedding players because we're not taking the division at this point. It's just not happening.
Right.
You have the inverse record of the Chicago Bears. The Packers look great, even though they're second in the division right now. They're still my favorites to win it. And I mean, the Lions doesn't matter at this point because those two teams are log jamming you from getting to the top of the division. And there's no way you take a wild card with this much of a score deficit at this point in the season when there's
Hmm.
teams that are just performing better than you. So yeah, get rid of what you can. You're getting ready to probably draft a quarterback anyway. You were like, no matter what, you either were the Minnesota Vikings front office was having the conversation: do we extend Kirk Cousins? Do we look at the free agency market for a new quarterback, or do we draft a guy? That conversation was 100% already taking place.
The
So you're
problem is, though, they just extended Kirk Cousins.
wait, they did?
Yeah, they extended him like last year or 2 years ago. Like his 2 year extension, like just kicked in, I think, this year. And it is completely guaranteed. So if they were to cut him or release him, they'd have like $40 million in dead cap space.
All right, yeah, so check this out. So Kirk Cousins' contract runs through 2022. You're right, I completely forgot about this. His cap hit in 2021 is $31 million with a dead cap of $41 million. His cap hit in 2022 is $45 million, but with a dead cap of $10 million. Why? Why do they do this?
And the big thing is his 2022 salary is fully guaranteed on the third league day of 2021. So it's not
Wow.
like they can go through camp with him and see how he goes or wait for an injury and try and trade him. Like if he's on the team next year, just really to start the season, they got him for 2 years and they're stuck with him.
Wow. Jesus Christ. God damn.
They're in a tough spot.
Now, granted, this does not keep them from having a bad season this season and drafting a rookie quarterback, since that rookie QB, even if they chose to bench Kirk Cousins and just eat the money,
Mhm.
the rookie QB would be cheap. I mean, it's rookie contracts; they are not a lot of money relative to how much teams give out to quarterbacks.
Mhm.
So they could still do that. But wow, I
It
was
would be tough.
legit sitting over here like, yeah, this is his last season in Vikings purple, and it's like, nope.
Mm-mm.
Fuck,
He
wow,
is
god
sticking
damn.
around. You gotta hope for a trade, which even then is not the not like
Unlikely.
an immediate solution, but you gotta just bite the bullet. This might be the end of like the Vikings attempting to compete. Like they just might have to bite the bullet and just start rebuilding now and just completely tear down because of how bad that contract is. It's crippling for them trying to do anything with any other money.
Yeah. Oh man. And everyone was touting the idea of the fully guaranteed contract as being the wave of the future, but
Hmm. Now we see
it,
why.
it's really coming back. Well, the thing is, like, if this was Aaron Rodgers, you'd go, yeah. If it was Tom Brady, you'd go, yeah. They did it for
There's
Kirk
so much risk.
Cousins.
Ugh.
Like, there's so much down. Like the fact that like Cam Newton with with his injury risk, based on his missing time last season, um, is in my mind still a better candidate for fully guaranteed money than Kirk Cousins. He had like 2 good years in Washington. That was it. Oh man, that is so upsetting.
He's like the definition of mediocre.
He really is. My God.
Like he has these games where like he looks relatively good. He doesn't look spectacular, but he looks pretty good. And then he just comes around with these games like some of them that he had this year where my God, like he looks like he is just completely lost and it's just unplayable. And I just don't know how he does it.
Yep. Yep. I know. He is the world's most inconsistent player. Um, as it stands right now, the Vikings have 9 picks in the upcoming draft. They're currently in position to take the 6th overall pick because they're bad. That's wild. They're 1-5 and they're in position for the 6th overall pick. That's how lopsided the league is right now.
That's not good.
That's fucking nuts. Jesus.
That's
Anyway,
that's wow. That's super surprising.
hold on. Yes, it is. Let me just go back to see some records. Because what is what's Houston's record right now? Are they also 1-5? Yes, they are.
Maybe.
Yes, they are. So Houston has the 7th. Well, Miami has the 7th overall pick, but from Houston. So
Right.
Houston at 1-5 is the 7th overall pick. Then what's the Chargers record? 1-4. They're the 8th overall pick. Cincinnati, 1-4-1. Wins the first team with 2 wins. Dallas at the 10th overall pick. So the first team with 2 wins on the season so far, is the 10th overall pick.
Holy fuck.
Teams 1 through 9 have 0 or 1 wins on the season.
And there's only 3 teams with undefeated records? It's not like it's a crazy number to offset this.
No. Only Seattle, Pittsburgh, and Tennessee have undefeated records. Everyone else has at least 1 or 2 losses. Wow.
This is a wild season. I mean, we knew that from the start, but wow.
And the really sad part about it is, most of these teams down here are not trying to be bad. Jacksonville's probably not trying to be bad, but not actively trying to be good. Houston was there's too much to even get into with Houston. The Giants are rebuilding, so they're not going to be good, but they shouldn't be this bad. Same thing with Washington. Same thing. Minnesota was supposed to be good this season. Atlanta wasn't trying to be bad. The Chargers aren't trying to be bad. The whole NFC East isn't trying to be bad. Even the Jets weren't trying to be bad. This was supposed to be a growth year from Darnold, where they built off the 7-9 record, and instead they're 0-6. Most of these teams weren't even trying to do this. The Browns were when we saw them, 2-3 years ago. This is just these franchises sucking it up this year. That's wild.
I just don't even know how to feel about this. What is gonna be the breaking point? Where is this gonna turn to where some of these teams have to start improving, obviously. Some of these teams are going to stay bad, but what week are we going to have this? What's the term for it? Just when are these teams going to start separating themselves?
All right. So let's. This is not all statistics related, but fuck it. This is fun. Let's keep going with it. So let's take it. I guess best to worst in terms of where they're situated in the top 10 right now. So best is Dallas because they're number 10. They lost their quarterback for the season, and he was the only thing making them relatively competitive. So I would expect them to probably rise towards the top of the draft order as we go on, because I don't expect them to be doing much better. Do you?
Not really. I think this is just kind of it for them.
Yeah, Cincinnati I could see improving. I'm not. Real quick as a caveat, I do not expect any of these teams to be good. I think Corwin and I are specifically talking about which teams will actually start winning a handful of games here and there to end up 5-11 instead of staying 0-16 to 2-14 the whole season. So,
and I definitely don't. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say I think Cincinnati might eventually improve marginally. But what were you going to say?
It's I don't expect any of these teams to make the playoffs.
I would 6-10 is probably the upper limit of what I would expect from any of these teams right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
So Cincinnati, I could see improving a little bit.
Sure. I mean, rookie quarterbacks still have some offensive weapons. They could come back.
What do you make of the Chargers? Do you see them having some upward mobility here?
They have to. I mean, they're a better team than this record by a fair margin. I thought they would have been a competing playoff team, even without the Justin Herbert that we see now.
I would have said the same. I see good things for them as they just adapt to the very sudden change that they had to make in quarterback.
Right. So I think they'll improve, especially with Justin Herbert playing the way he has. It's just, how much is going to be enough?
Right. I feel you. All right, Houston. What do you make of Houston? Do you think they will get better or continue to be this bad?
Again, they have Deshaun Watson. He's going to win them some games at some point. But they are not, from a full team's full team perspective, they are not built to compete. They just are in deep trouble. and whoever they bring in as GM is going to have some serious work to do.
Yeah, I've never seen such to this degree a disparity between quarterback talent and overall team talent. Like this is basically the extent of like Mike Trout on the Angels at this point, where Deshaun Watson is like one of the best at his position. I understand Mike Trout is literally the best at baseball, but you know what I'm saying. And the whole team around him is just ass in every way, ass. Minnesota.
I don't see them getting much better. I really don't. That team just
I
looks
could
like a
see
fucking
them.
clusterfuck.
I could see them taking some weird games, but I don't see them actually like gaining success. Jacksonville.
Yeah, no, I don't see them. Again, like they all have one win, so like they have to improve, but I don't see them really making a jump at all.
Nope. Atlanta.
Yeah. Oh my God, they have to. That
Yeah,
offense is
they're
too
too talented.
talented.
Yeah, they are just too good to have this be who they are for the whole season. Plus, they're
Right.
having a head coaching change, and I think it's not uncommon to see slight bumps in performance after a head coaching change, especially when they have so much going for them on offense. So, all right, these are the three worst now. These are bad teams. Washington,
Nope. They're fucked.
Giants,
Nope. They fucked.
Jets.
No. I for a second I did want to say yes, if they get rid of Gase, they're gonna get better. But boy, I just don't see them doing it. I just don't see them having that redemption this season.
No, I don't either. I because the Giants and Washington play the rest of the NFC East, I see those teams picking up some wins against their fellow shit tier teams. But no one in the AFC East is performing that poorly. Miami is the second place, or is the second worst team in the division, and they're sitting at 500. So actually, no, the Patriots are the second worst team in the division. They're at 2-3. But regardless, it's still the Patriots. You give them the benefit of the doubt in terms of future performance. And the Jets have shown not even a glimmer of hope. So, wow, this is so bad. Like Denver, who is sitting at 2-3, not playing well. You know, it's not been great. They have the 13th overall pick in the draft. Miami at 3-3 as 14th right now in the draft. They are an average, and I know that 500 is literally average, but like it's not though, and we know that. Like this is just wild, man.
It's insanity. But you know what? That's kind of what we knew coming into this, that this was going to be a weird ass season. Teams were going to be chaotic in, the outcomes that could be expected from them. And it just so happens that a lot of teams just decided to be really bad this year.
It would certainly appear that way. God damn. Wow. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's keep it moving. We got sidetracked on Vikings Falcons. Jets Dolphins we talked about. Bucks beating the Packers, really trouncing the Packers. Do you care?
I care a lot because this was a huge game for both of these teams because the Packers looked unbeatable. They looked like one of the most complete teams in the NFL. They just looked unstoppable. But looking at it now, man, they are in a tough spot where they aren't exactly they're not a good enough team to continue on with how they were playing to start the season. They're still one of the best teams in the NFL, but they still have some improvements they need to make, and they need to do it fairly quickly because I think teams are going to lock into the winning strategy for the Bucks, which is just, pressure the hell out of Rodgers, that use that defensive line to just attack the O-line, which played nowhere near what was expected of what they were going to be this season, against the Bucks. And I think it's going to cause some chaos in the future, for these Packers. But, excuse me. That being said, it's still early on in the season, and man, I fully expect them to come back and still be, the front runner for the NFC along with the Seahawks for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it was. This was a wild game because of Tampa Bay's relatively inconsistent performance and how dominant Green Bay has been, like you said. So it's I guess it's going to be a telling point for what's the name of the new head coach for Green Bay?
Matt LaFleur.
Matt LaFleur. This will be a telling point for him to see if he makes any adjustments in the game strategy following the booty blasting that Tampa Bay delivered to them.
Booty blasting.
Niners beating the Rams.
This was competitive. This was good. This wasn't, the craziest game, the wildest outcome, but it was super competitive and super what we expected. Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, two of the smartest coaches in the league. So I'm all about it.
Yeah, this was a game that at the start of the season, if you were looking at this before anybody had played, you would chalk up to a Niners win. And that's exactly what happened. But because of all the Niners injuries, this made the game a little bit more interesting and a little bit more meaningful. So while the result isn't necessarily surprising, it still has a much larger takeaway than it would have 4 or 5 weeks ago. All right, Chiefs beating the Bills.
Again, a competitive, good game, but not surprising.
Yep, and Cardinals fucking the Cowboys.
Again, like to start the season, this would have seemed crazy, but now it's just like, yeah.
Now it's like, of course they did.
Yeah.
Now it's like, duh. What were you expecting? All right, so that wraps up the NFL games from week 6. We got week 7 coming up tonight. Or this whole day, I should say. Giants and Eagles already played. There's a wonderful meme of Daniel Jones being tripped by absolutely nothing and causing the Giants to win because the Giants are like just trying not to win football games. It would appear. But anyway, we'll see how they do. My Jets are playing the Bills. They'll lose that game. Steelers Titans is going to be a super interesting watch.
That's
for
the
Corwin
game
and the world.
Locked in.
Oh, it really is.
Oh,
I can't believe it's not getting like. I understand Seahawks Cardinals is cool and all, but like these are two undefeated teams. Like this should be the Sunday night game, and I say that as a man who doesn't truly care about either team. Even though I host this show with a Steelers fan, I do not care for the team, and I want to watch them Sunday night.
Absolutely get it. Yep.
But anyway, let's hop, skip, and jump on over to the wild, wild world of baseball. This has been Game 4 of the World Series wrapped up late last night, right around like 11:30 or 12 or so. I stayed up to watch the whole thing. Corwin, did you watch any of it?
Nope. I was very sad and just kind of hiding in my bed.
Well, you missed what is one of the wildest games I've seen in a fucking minute. I'm going to read the box score to you. The Dodgers lost in regulation 9 innings, 7-8 to the Tampa Bay Rays, and here's how it broke down score by inning. In the first inning, Dodgers got 1, Rays got nothing. Neither team scored in the second. Dodgers tacked on in the third, another run, so they led 2-0 by the end of the third as the Tampa Bay Rays did not score. In the fourth, Dodgers were held scoreless, but the Rays got a run back, 2-1. In the fifth inning, both teams got a run. So it's now 3-2 in favor of the Dodgers. Top of the sixth, Dodgers got another run to make it 4-2, but the Rays got 3 runs to take the lead at 5-4. Then in the top of the seventh, Dodgers got 2 to take the lead back 6-5. And then in the bottom of the seventh, the Rays got another run back to tie the game 6-6. And then in the top of the eighth, the Dodgers got the go-ahead run 7-6. And in the bottom of the ninth, all hell broke loose. And the Tampa Bay Rays scored 2 of the wildest runs to take the game walked off 8-7.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of the mayhem from last night, especially in that final inning. But I don't know if any of that's going to ever do justice compared to actually watching the game.
Oh my God. And it was such a fascinating game because, and I'm going to read you some statistics that I think will highlight how lopsided this game looked if you were a Dodgers fan or if you were just looking at the box score in terms of what the players were doing. So, because Tampa Bay, it felt like none of their hits were timely. And they of course, kept scoring runs here and there. You know, they ended the night with four total home runs. One from Randy Arozarena, of course. One from
Mhm.
Brandon Lau. One from Hunter Renfroe. And then one from Kevin Kiermaier. And all of those home runs ended up having a pretty decent impact on the game, as every home run in the postseason does. But you looked at what the Dodgers were doing, and they had traffic on the bases seemingly the whole way through, and they were scorching the ball and yada, yada, yada. But it felt like every move Dave Roberts made on the pitching end of things just came back to fuck him. And so let's I want to guide you through a little bit of it.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
how many hard hit balls in your mind do you think? Well, I guess you didn't watch the game, but so let me just ask you, kind of generally, picture the
Mhm.
Tampa Bay Rays. How many hard hit balls do you think they would have gotten in this game where they scored 8 runs?
I honestly do not know how to even presume that number. I do not know the average, so I don't know what would be expected.
So give me just where your head's at, how you frame it, because this is something that I also wouldn't have had a really good answer to either. I only know this because I'm literally looking at it.
Okay. I mean, hard hit balls, maybe like 3 or 4. There's really only ever one every other inning or so where you get, you hit a ball and it's like, wow, that could be it. Oh, that could be out. Oh, it's a sharp grounder. I don't know. That could be wildly off, but at the same time, it's not a common thing for these, hard ass hit balls unless you're like Vlad Guerrero or Mike Trout. So I'll say 3 or 4. Well.
Okay, okay, that is very sound logic, and if I didn't know the number, I would totally agree with you. The answer for the Tampa Bay Rays is 7.
Damn. All right.
Now, what's interesting about it is that Joey Wendell had a hard hit ball. He did not get a hit on it. Brandon Lau had 2 hard hit balls, only 1 actual hit. So 2 of their 7 hard hit balls were for outs. So you can, I think that shows you a little bit of a luck factor there. How many hard hit balls do you think the Dodgers had?
Uh, left. I'll say 4.
19.
What?
Yeah, yeah, a ludicrous number. Um, Mookie Betts had 2 of his own right. Corey Seager had 3. Justin Turner had 4. Max Muncy had 2. Will Smith had 1. Cody Bellinger had 1. AJ Pollock had 1. Jock Peterson had 1. Chris Taylor had 2. And Enrique Hernandez had 2.
Fuck? Is that do we know what the average is?
I don't, but I can almost assure you it's not that,
No.
right?
Holy fuck.
Right? So, and what's fascinating is, again, once how they're distributed. So Mookie Betts, 2 hard hit balls. He went 0 for 5. Corey
Really?
Seager, yeah, Corey Seager, 3 hard hit balls, but he got himself a home run and 3 additional hits. Justin Turner, 4 hard hit balls, 4 hits on the night in 5 plate appearances. Max Muncy had 2 hard hit balls, but only 1 hit on the night. Will Smith had 1 hard hit ball, 1 hit on the night. Cody Bellinger, 1 hard hit ball, no hits, 0 for 4. AJ Pollock, 1 hard hit ball. He had a double. Jock Peterson, 1 hard hit ball. He has 2 hits. Chris Taylor, 2 hard hit balls. He went 1 for 5, so one of those was for an out. And Enrique Hernandez, 2 hard hit balls. He had 1 hit, which was a double. So once again, one of his hard hit balls was for outs. But you look at that breakdown. I mean, they literally goddamn nearly tripled the hard hit production of the Rays, and they out hit the Rays 15-10. Their expected batting average was 43 points higher than the Rays, 344 to 301, and the Rays won the game.
How can you not be romantic about baseball?
I mean, it's, and so if you look at this from the pitching aspect of it, the Dodgers pitchers, Julio Urias allowed 4 hard hit balls in his 4.2 innings. Blake Trenton came in, allowed 0. Pedro Baez came in and allowed 2. Adam Kolarek allowed 0. Brusdar Graterol allowed 0. And then Kenley Jansen walked his ass up there and let up 1 and lost the game. And then you look at the Rays start. You look at the Rays pitching. Ryan Yarbrough comes up in his 3.1 innings to start the game, allowed 5 hard hit balls. Ryan Thompson comes up, allows 1. Peter Fairbanks comes up, allows 2. Diego Castillo comes up, allows 3. Aaron Loop comes up, allows 1. Nick Anderson comes up and allows 2. And John Curtis comes up and allows 5. And they won with that performance.
I don't know what to say, man. I didn't watch the game, obviously, so I don't know the context of all these situations. But looking at it, like, the day after, just hearing about this is an insane back and forth where did it look like throughout the game that the Dodgers should just be running away with it and
Yes.
It was just bad luck, bad situations?
Yes, it absolutely did. Yeah, no, that's what I'm trying to say. It absolutely, like, every time the Rays scored, it was like, wait, really? They did? Like, and every time the Dodgers scored, it was in such loud fashion.
Mhm.
It was such a wild game to not have to watch, but to actually, like, really, throw your fucking eyeballs on, because, like, the way that the Rays were scoring their runs was just so. It just felt like they're like, oh yeah, well, that one happens, but then that happens kept happening the entire game.
All right, I get that.
Oh,
does this change how you expect the outcomes of this series to unfold?
Only in that I think it'll take more games, because if anything, this shows that even in the Rays' success, the underlying metrics are not good for them.
Mm-hmm.
So one would expect future performance to be dictated by the actual results of how these teams are performing. And the problem is the Dodgers are just so, like, here's exit velocity, average exit velocity, for the World Series thus far, and who has the highest average exit velocities thus far. Max Muncy, Hunter Renfroe, Brandon Lau, Corey Seager, Kevin Kiermaier. That's top 5. They have the top 5 hardest hit balls of the series thus far. And that's a pretty even split. You got 2 Dodgers, you got 3 Rays. The next 10 that follow, positions 6 through 16, you have 8 Dodgers and 2 Rays. It's not close.
No.
Like, the Dodgers, and this is the whole thing. This is exactly what we talked about with the Dodgers and the Rays. The Rays have good high-end production. The Dodgers are fucking deep. And this game really came down to the moves. This game shows you exactly why the logic of the closer is the closer because he closes is a stupid line, because Kenley Jansen fucked the game up. He blew the game. You can sit there and say, well, Blake Treinen allowed 2 runs in his 0.2 innings. Pedro Baez allowed 2 runs in his 1.2. Like, the game could have been lost in the first with Julio, or with the first pitcher with Julio Urias allowing 2 runs in his 4.2 innings. But, and that's perfectly reasonable to say those things. At the same time, Kenley Jansen has been struggling in both the postseason and the regular season for a little while now,
Mm-hmm.
and has been an unreliable figure. And Dave Roberts for whatever reason, while he is on team 1A to 1C of the most analytical team in baseball, refuses to make analytical decisions with his relievers in some points, and goes to Kenley Jansen to close out the game for seemingly no reason other than, well, he's the closer. Which they shouldn't do that, because that will lose you baseball games.
I can't say I watched enough Dodgers games to really know whether or not Kenley Jansen has had those moments of reliability to stick with him in such a high leverage situation, at least this year. I know in the past he has 100% been that guy and has gotten it done at an incredibly high level. But man, if the trust and the faith isn't there, World Series Game 4 is a tough time for that to be, to just have that kind of blind faith. I don't want to say that's blind faith. Blind faith was a poor choice of words, but to just kind of hope and pray that like Kenley Jansen is able to get back to the roots, get back to who he was instead of who he has been.
Right. And so I want to look at today's game. By the time this episode airs, the game will have happened. So I want to make a prediction based on some of these numbers that we got working here. So today's pitching matchup will be Clayton Kershaw against Tyler Glasnow. This is a repeat matchup. We saw this matchup in Game 1 of the series. They're now meeting together again at Game 5. And this is an interesting matchup in terms of statistics. So Tyler Glasnow got left in way too long last time. He got really roughed up. Clayton Kershaw had himself a very nice outing. These two players' performances are very wonky. Clayton Kershaw so far has been phenomenal. He has an average allowed exit velocity of 87.8. Tyler Glasnow, 90.4 miles per hour. Clayton Kershaw has a hard hit percent of 34%. Tyler Glasnow, 42%. Clayton Kershaw has an expected weighted on base average of 263, the exact same for Tyler Glasnow, 263. Expected batting average for Clayton Kershaw, 217. Expected batting average for Tyler Glasnow, 1.91. So he takes the edge there. Expected slugging, Clayton Kershaw, 387. Tyler Glasnow, 363. Again, edge to Glasnow. Strikeout percent for Clayton Kershaw, 28.1. For Glasnow, 38.2, a full 10 percentage points higher. Walk percent for Clayton Kershaw, 3.6. Phenomenal. He never walks anybody. Tyler Glasnow, 9.2. So what we're getting out of this, and this is something that really just tells you what your eyes pretty much see. Clayton Kershaw stays pretty well in the zone and manages to avoid hard contact with his very precise execution on his pitches. Tyler Glasnow gets great movement on his stuff, but when it doesn't move, he gets fucking hammered. And because it can sometimes move so much, ends up out of the zone a lot, resulting in a lot of walks. These high walk, high strikeout dudes are pretty common now. It's basically your Adam Ottavino. As pitch movement gets better, that means it gets wilder, and that means it's just going to be a little bit harder for your average pitcher to rein in all the time. So that's where we stand on that. And in terms of batter performances, like what we saw last night, really is the story of the season. What I just detailed in terms of how it breaks down by the numbers. So if you look at barrel percent, and again, barrel ball is that sweet spot of exit velocity and launch angle. Yeah. The Rays have 3 players over 10%. And I'll throw Willy Adames in there because he's at 9.9. So that's 4. It's 5 players. 5 players, 10% or higher on barrel ball percent. The Dodgers have 5 players below 10%. Everyone else is over 10%.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Corey
Really?
Seager, Edwin Rios, Will Smith, Max Muncy, Chris Taylor, Justin Turner, AJ Pollock, Jock Peterson, all over 10% barrel ball percent. Cody Bellinger sitting at 9.4. Mookie Betts sitting at 7.7 probably gets dinged a little bit because of his 0 for 5 performance last night. And that right there has been the story of the series. If you look at solid contact to take out the launch angle aspect of it and just see who's really, shellacking the ball here, solid contact, we have 3 players over 10% on the Dodgers, 2 players over 10% on the Rays. But if we go 9 points or higher, the Dodgers all of a sudden have 6 players sitting at an over 9% barrel ball percent, and the Rays are down to 4. And it just keeps getting more and more disparate. For example, the Dodgers have their lowest barrel ball percent is 4.6, a shared metric between Austin Barnes and Jock Peterson. The Rays have 5 players below 4.6%. The Dodgers don't have any. Joey Wendell, Yandy Diaz, Kevin Kiermaier, Brett Phillips, and Hunter Renfroe all hitting below 4.6% of their balls being hard hit. The Dodgers, 0. So if you go below 5%, the Dodgers have 2, and the Rays have 5. Like, these are, in terms of actual performance with their with their actual contact, the Dodgers are killing it right now. They've been burned on their pitching. And if they can move towards the strong end of their rotation, which they are in right now, if they get a good outing from Kershaw today, like they got in Game 1, and they get a good outing from Buehler tomorrow, it's kind of the series.
And you know what? I don't want to jinx anything. I don't want to, there's too much superstition with playoff baseball, but like I have so much faith in those guys for the Dodgers. I don't want to say it's a shoo-in. I don't want to say, they're going to collapse. I don't want to go too far either end of the spectrum because either way is going to jinx them to some degree. But I'd have a lot of faith if I was the Dodgers. I would have a fair amount of worry if I was the Rays just because, I mean, granted, their first win was a solid win against a good team. But I mean, last night, it's going to be tough to have, to keep up with that level of variance, I'll say, with any type of consistency. But I also need to come out and say that I know you mentioned it earlier. I am very much rooting for the Dodgers at this point because I had forgotten that I'm in a baseball pool where you pick all the playoff teams, you pick the World Series champion, and like each person gives in like $35. There's like 30 people that do it. So it's between me and one other guy for who's going to win this pool if the Dodgers win. And even if the Rays win, I don't think anyone picked them, so it may still come down between the two of us. So I kind of really hope they win and just kind of get me a couple $100 and however, it ends up being. Because while, I do hate the Dodgers, with my long-standing fanship of the Padres, I also really like money. And I kind of don't mind the Dodgers winning, Clayton Kershaw winning. I could support that. I could, twist my mind around to get behind that and have that be a fairly good excuse. But at the end of the day, money's a pretty good excuse too, and I like it. So I'm not going to say go, Dodgers, but I will say pay out this big win for me.
Fair enough. Spoken like a true capitalist.
Yes.
So I just want to run through the box score again really quick just because I found this to be such a fascinating game. So the Dodgers scored their first run off of a Justin Turner home run. He's now the franchise leader in home runs for the Dodgers in the postseason with 12. So shouts to you, Justin. The next run that was scored was a home run by Corey Seager to put the Dodgers up 2-0. All right. Then, and all this time, we see, like right after the Corey Seager home run, you had a Justin Turner single, you had a Max Muncy walk. Like there's a lot that had been going on in the meantime. The next run that was scored was a home run from Randy Arozarena via Julio Urias. Dodgers up now 2-1. Then it was a score from a Max Muncy single that scored Corey Seager. Dodgers up 3-1. Then a solo shot from Hunter Renfroe put the Rays within one at a deficit of 3-2. Then Enrique Hernandez doubles, scoring Will Smith, and the Dodgers take a 4-2 lead. Then Brandon Lau hits a home run, and that scored 3 runs, putting the Rays up 5-4. Then Jock Peterson hits a single, scoring Corey Seager and Justin Turner, putting the Dodgers up 6-5. The Rays then come back. Kevin Kiermaier hits a home run to put the game knotted up at 6. Corey Seager then hit in the next inning, gets a single that scores Chris Taylor. Dodgers up 7-6. No one scores in the bottom of the 8th. No one scores in the top of the 9th. And then the only time in this game that this Rays score on anything but a home run, it feels like, Brett Phillips hits a single to right field. Kevin Kiermaier and Randy Arozarena both score. Arozarena scoring on an advancing to third on an E8. No RBI for that for Brett Phillips, and then scores a run on an E1, basically. And that's how the game broke down. So if you break it down by hit type, the Rays scored on a home run, and then 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 a single. And the thing about home runs is it's the
And
best
that's
thing.
just how you got to chalk it up every game.
Yeah, truly. The thing about home runs is it's the best thing you can do. But from a pitching aspect, it's one bad pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to take away from the Rays, because if you hit a home run, you've accomplished that. Speaking, if I am a Dodger fan, my opinion on it is if we can just have a slightly improved pitching performance, those home runs can become fly balls. Those can become outfield catches. And that's where we want to be. And if I'm the Rays, I'm thinking, well, shit, man, this is going very well in terms of our home run hitting. And all we have to do is rein our pitchers in so there's less traffic on the bases. Because the Rays pitching has been doing a good job of I don't want to say not allowing the home run, but having more distance between their home runs. So they're letting up base runners, which is bad, but most of those at-bats and plate appearances aren't resulting in home runs. They're resulting in other things, which are bad, but not as bad as home runs. And they just need to kind of find whatever the way is to approach Dodgers hitters to either keep it in the zones where they have lighter contact or where they're more likely to chase. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they approach these last 3 games, should it go that long, because both teams are hitting fine. Now it becomes pitching, which, as we've said previously, it always becomes about pitching. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm so fucking excited.
Oh, yeah, me too. I am very much ready for this matchup tonight. I mean, Glasnow, Kershaw, like, that's a great matchup. I really, really hope Kershaw can stick with this momentum and, continue to fight the reputation he has honestly rightfully earned over the past couple of years with, his playoff performance. So I'm all for it. I'll watch this one because, I've crawled myself out of the sadness from yesterday. So it should be fun. It should be a good game.
Oh, if you're not watching baseball right now and you're listening to this podcast, first off, I don't know who you are. That's half of what we talk about.
Right.
But seriously, this series has been phenomenal. It's been back and forth the whole time. I really thought it would be a lot more lopsided towards the Dodgers. And again, in terms of underlying statistics, it kind of has been. But in terms of actual performance, it's been so incredibly even and so fun to watch. I mean, I really thought this would be so much less competitive than it has been. And I'm very grateful I'm wrong. This has been a blast. So
What if it came out that one of these teams cheated in a similar vein to, how the Astros did it? Not even a similar vein, like doesn't have to be similar, just like what if this is another double asterisk here?
if it was the Dodgers, I wouldn't really care, only because I don't care about them in general. If it was the Rays, I would be annoyed because they beat us in the playoffs, and that means that they probably cheated during our series, and not just like, and it would be like double fucking whammy because it's like the last World Series that this was an issue in, Astros Dodgers. The Astros had to beat the Yankees to get to the World Series, and in this one, the Rays had to beat us to, I understand, get to the ALCS, so they beat us in the DS, but still, like both times we had to lose to the team that got caught cheating. But I would find it hilarious that the Rays beat the Astros while cheating, and the Astros would probably want to be all salty about it, but then they can't be because it's like, bitches, y'all cheated like 2 years ago. Sit the
Hmm.
fuck down. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't. I would be annoyed because Manfred. Oh, I'd also be mad at Manfred because this would be like, hey, buddy, this is what you get for not doing anything. What did you expect? But and I mean, it's not going to affect. Now that it's happened, I'm not going to be, I think, as shocked as I was the first time. I don't know. What about
Right.
you?
I definitely don't think I'd be as shocked. I think that I'd be just as disappointed. Man, it would hurt. It would sting. It would be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" type of reaction. I think I'd be done with baseball for a good while, you know? Like if it happened for 3, 4 straight years, I don't know if I could watch baseball consistently anymore. Like it then becomes okay, this wasn't just an isolated team. This is clearly something that is throughout the league, and they were just the first ones to get caught. I don't know if I would trust baseball anymore.
Which again is just a scathing indictment on how fucking stupid Manfred was to not punish any of the players.
Hmm.
Like, if I'm Jose Altuve, I have no incentive to not keep cheating.
Right?
Oh no, my GM will get fired and my manager will get fired. So
Yeah. Oh no, we lose draft picks. Who gives a shit?
yeah, right.
I
Like
don't even know if
my
they
GM
did lose
getting
draft
fired
picks.
doesn't matter. I'm already on the team.
I
My
don't
manager
remember.
getting fired doesn't matter. I'm already a good ball player. I already have my
Yeah.
contract. I don't give a shit. And he's right. Why should you give a shit?
He absolutely should not, because he has no incentive otherwise. Ah, sadness.
Crushing sadness. Um. Uh. Yeah. Do we have anything else to talk about before we kind of wrap it up?
Do you have a prediction for tonight's winner?
Yeah, oh yeah, I picked the Dodgers. I'm gonna
Did you say
predict
that
the
already?
lines too. I did, but I'm gonna be more precise about it now. I'm gonna say you get 7 innings out of Kershaw, because the Dodgers used a lot of their bullpen tonight, and Dave Roberts is gonna try to squeeze some outs. But I also think Kershaw will be dominant. I think you're gonna get 7 innings, 2 runs, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts, uh, and like 4 hits out of Kersh. I'm gonna actually I'm gonna actually write that down, so that I can watch this game and check my phone to see how I'm doing. So hold on, I'm gonna text it to you because I have your text messages up. So I said, so for Kershaw, I'm saying 7 innings. Um, then what did I say? 4 hits,
Mhm.
2 walks. What was it? 1 run or 2 runs? Did I say?
I think you said 2, but
I
I'm
think I
not
said two as
positive.
well. I think I said two. 2 runs and nine strikeouts. Okay, that's my Kershaw line. Now I'm gonna give the world's most generic Tyler Glasnow line, and this is like what he is famous for. So I'm gonna say Tyler Glasnow um, gets 4 innings, 4.0 innings pitched. I'm gonna say he lets up 6 hits, 4 walks, um, 3 runs and gets like 11 strikeouts. It's because that's like what he does.
11 strikeouts in 4 innings.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
I'm gonna say 8. Like, this is what he does. He throws like 110 pitches, but only gets like 4 to 6 innings. Gets a million strikeouts, but still leaves with like 3 or 4 runs up. So you go like, well, he got like 11 strikeouts, so that's good. But he let up like 4 runs. Like, what's happening? So that's my guess. And I'll say that the Dodgers end up winning the game, 7-3.
All right. I'll take it.
Dodgers W 7-3. All right, that's my official guess.
I'm all about it.
Watch as Kershaw gets pulled in the first because he doesn't get an out, and Tyler Glasnow throws a complete game, and the Rays win 8-0.
I'd be all about it just because that would be the fucking team chaos, and I'd be all for it.
Yeah, for real. Oh my god. All right, so that's my official guess for today. And hey, while we're at it, what do you think the final score of the Steelers-Titans game is going to be?
Fuck, I don't know. I think it's going to be like 24-21.
In favor of?
The Steelers.
Fair. I'll say this game is going to be wacky, and I'll say it's 38-31 in favor of the Steelers.
I don't know how I'd feel about that, but I'd be all for it.
Yeah,
I'd be stressed, but I mean it's a win, so.
And then for the Jets-Bills, I'm going to predict a 38-6 game where the Jets get 2 meaningless field goals so late in the game where you're like, why are we even doing this? Like, just go for it on 4th down, even though it's 4th and 20. Like, I don't want to see this field goal take place. 38-6. That's my Bills Jets score prediction. Yeah.
Only 38?
Yeah, I mean, at some point they're going to tell Josh Allen, "You did enough. You can."
Yeah, they're going to pull him in the second quarter, and.
Are you implying they're going to get 38 runs in the first quarter?
Yeah, they're going to score 38 runs. Josh Allen's going to walk out there with a bat.
I mean, you could give our whole D-line baseball bats, and I'm not convinced we would be any better. Anyway, all right. So then we'll call it a day with that shit. I'm not sure I have anything else to plug. So yeah, we'll call it a day with it.
Thank God.
If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at JuicingPod. If you want to hit us up via email, you can do so at juicingthenumbers@gmail.com. If you want to listen to a movies review podcast that Corwin and I host, check out Juicing the Big Screen, the brother-sister podcast of this podcast. And if you want to listen to me and some other people talk about a lot of music and apparently golf now, you can check out another show run by the people who run this show called You Can't Be Serious. If you want to buy some merch, check out our Teespring page. You can just look up Juicing the Numbers. I'm sure it'll come up. I can't imagine that's a popular name. And until Thursday, y'all have a good one.
Bye. Thanks for not having to force me to talk about the Penn State game. Bye.